Thank you, Tomek. Okay, so I'm already presented who I am. So I will start from the presentation. So today we will talk about the state of cross-platform mobile and web. So mostly about what we can use to achieve web and mobile app in the one code base, what we can use, what is the limitations, and maybe what to choose in our apps, and how to approach for the decision. So first of all, small disclaimer, I won't tell about every possible technology. So I will focus on the technologies what we are using in Monterail on daily basis, and all of them are proved in the production modes, in the real businesses, in the real lives. So yeah, this is why I will talk only about them, because I don't want to lie about other technologies what maybe work or not. So first of all, I will talk about, maybe it's not the order what we will talk about, but we will talk about the Ionic with capacitor, about the React Native and React Native Web, and about the Flutter. So first, let's take a look at the timeline. And first was Ionic, developed by Drifty in 2013. Then we had the React Native, developed by Facebook and the community, as it is open source, in March 2015. And last not least is the Flutter, what was developed by Google and community in May 2017. So this is the youngest one in our comparison. So let's talk about the Flutter in general, what it is. Maybe you know, maybe not. So we can deliver app using Flutter to Android, iOS, web, and desktop. So it means to the Windows or to the macOS app. The business logic is kept in Dart. So this is the language used in Flutter. This has its own renderer, so it works a bit differently than the native apps, but thanks to that we can have the great animations in the Flutter, because it renders even pixel by pixel in the view, and mostly it mimics how the native app behaves in its own renderer. It is also the most trending framework, what I will talk about later. Have great CLI and tooling. As Alex showed us, in React Native we have a lot of different libraries, a lot of tools, different approaches, how to avoid the different bumps in the road in the development. In Flutter it is all in place, and this is inside the library event, so it's really nice to use in terms of that. Also, we have something like pubdev, and there is over 26,000 packages, and even more if we include the hidden ones. And what is really nice here, that many of them are proven and works really well. What is not like always in the JavaScript world, when we have like over 1.8 million libraries in the NPM. So yeah, this is it. Thanks to the Dart, this is the type safe and null check language, what really improves the quality of the code and how we write the code, and also it's kinda safe in terms of how we write the code. And yeah, there are already 500,000 apps what use Flutter. This number is like estimated from the App Store and Google Play, but there is big players here. So of course it is backed by Google. So we have, for example, the Google Pay app in the Flutter. BMW, so the app for my BMW is written also in Flutter, or iRobot, and many different apps. So this is just an example. So let's jump into the React Native. So same as for the Flutter, we can deliver the app to the Android, iOS, web, and desktop. But the web, what we will talk also later about it, and desktop app is the one difference in React Native that we need additional libraries to achieve that in React Native. So for example, to desktop, we need React Native Windows or React Native macOS. Business logic is in React, so JavaScript or TypeScript. Components are in JSX, what is compiled to the native UI. So what we are seeing in our React Native apps is native UI elements. So it's native for Android and for the iOS. So it's really mimics the native application in terms of the UI components. Styling in the React Native mimics the CSS, so for the web developers it's really easy to adapt to styling, and this is Flexbook based. Also, this is really mature community. As I said, this is the open source, and many of the libraries and the core elements are written also by the community. And we have a lot of libraries already in place. Also, what is really important, we can use a lot of JavaScript and TypeScript libraries. So this is really nice. This is backed by Facebook, so it's also quite important. Also, like backed by Google, so it's the big players. So probably they wouldn't abandon their products. We can achieve high performance, but no, it always depends. As Alex said, we can even quite easily destroy the performance in the app. And there is a lot of apps in React Native, like Uber Eats, Skype, Tesla, Coinbase, Instagram, Salesforce, few parts of the Facebook app. So this is really commonly used. Yeah, and let's go jump to the Ionic. So to be strict, the Ionic itself, it's only the UI toolkit, what we can use in mobile app. What makes the app works, makes it native, is the capacitor or Cordova. Now, Ionic capacitor is developed by the Ionic team, and mostly what we will talk about is the capacitor, because essentially, what is the Ionic app is the web app wrapped in the mobile browser runtime, so in the web view, by the Cordova or capacitor. Now it is a capacitor. Same as in the React Native, we have the business logic in JavaScript or TypeScript, layout in HTML, or if we are using some web components or something that is also in place, we can use CSS, so it is really common for web developers, and it's most familiar for the web developers to use Ionic. What is also now really important, I believe, so it's a framework agnostic. So it means we can use Vue, Angular, or React in the Ionic app, and the effect will be the same. So this is really nice, especially if we have the company as like Monterail, and we have a lot of talented developers, and we can use Vue, not only React, to achieve the mobile app and the same result. Possibly what we have, because it runs in WebView, we can have some performance overhead, but in these days, I would say it's not really true, because we have really fast phones, but we have to remember also about the people who have the older ones, and possibly that might be some issues. And it is used also like in McLaren Automotive, Turkish McDonald's, Diesel, so it's a few examples of Ionic apps. Let's take a look at a few numbers. As we can see, the most stars have now Flutter, less Ionic. In terms of forking the repo, Flutter and React Natives are the same. Ionic a bit less. What is quite interesting in terms of issues, Flutter wins here, but it also means that the community is really open to discuss, to work with that, and also it shows us that it's really popular these days. because we have opened a lot of issues, and also what is important, that we have a lot of closed issues. So it shows the the difference between them, and the numbers are quite similar. Maybe the Ionic have the less issues right now, but it might be the result of the popularity in these days of the Ionic. Yeah, and a bit about the popularity. So we have the numbers, what shows how the popularity changed in the last 3 years. So if we take a look, like it looks in 2019, then React Native was the most popular. Flutter and Ionic was almost the same. In 2021, we can see that Flutter is already on the same, or is even on the higher level than React Native. Of course, it is only about some survey and answer from developers, but it shows us how it's really popular. And also it's relevant also in the, for example, the number of searches in the Google for the Flutter things, the number of results in the internet, the number of articles. There is a lot of things what shows us that Flutter is getting really, really popular. Yeah, and let's go to the most important part in this presentation, let's say. So how the web support works in this technologies. So first, React Native. React Native by default does not support web. So if we install the React Native, we don't have any option to have the web app by default. But we have something like React Native Web. And it is developed by Nicholas Gallagher. It is parallel implementation of React Native. And what it do, like it converts the React Native components to the web equivalents. So it just translates the React Native view, for example, to the div and puts the proper styling and the logic from the React inside. It is used by Twitter, Major League Soccer, Flipkart, Uber, The Times, and many, many more. And what is really important from my perspective, that it is possible to have the server-side rendered and can be SEO optimized. What is important in that part, that many of the apps what are not only for the logged-in users have to be server-side rendered. For example, the e-commerces, when we want to have high results in Google when we type in the product and so on. So it is really important to be able to optimize in the SEO, whatever terms. And yeah, the React Native allows us for that. And the other really important thing is that it's really used to use the platform-specific components. And because it's like the web application works like the regular HTML app, we can use any library designed for web. So we can divide, for example, one component for the mobile one to the web one, and use some even web toolkit or UI kit to develop our app, and it will work. So it gives us a lot of freedom in terms of using the tools what we have already, what we know from the web development, what works great. Not only this one, what is not only like in JS, but also what covers the UI part. And it's really nice from the React Native perspective. In Ionic, it's even easier because from the, it is the web app wrapped in the web view. We can do the regular web application, wrap it with the capacitor, and that's all. We have the mobile app. Yeah, and in most cases it works because we have to remember that not every app is like the same, or we need the same things. Many clients just need to have, for example, in the app in the mobile app only push notifications or just simple access to the images from the gallery or something like that. So yeah, we have to keep in mind that maybe in terms of Ionic, when we can miss some native features, some maybe performance things, but still probably it might be really enough in terms of our mobile app. Yeah, and it is JavaScript-based and framework agnostic, what gives a great powers in terms of the team, how to scale the team in the future, hire developers, and so on. So it's also great in terms of the Ionic. What about the Flutter? Flutter have two renderers, HTML and Canvas. I will show you later how the HTML works. It is not perfect at these days. So definitely the server-side rendering is not possible at all. So it won't be SEO optimized. So if we need some part for to be SEO optimized, we probably shouldn't use the Flutter. Most elements are rendered in Canvas, so they might be problem with accessibility and the UX of the app, how the apps behaves. Even like few days ago, they released new fix how to select the text in the web views in the web app. So it shows us that it's not really perfect at this end. And even from the FAQ, they saying that the Flutter is not great for the static websites with a lot of text, with for example, for the blogs and so on. So it is great, I think, for the apps when we have only for logged in users, or we just need some extra features to the web app in the mobile app. From the mobile app in the web app, let's say, and yeah, and then we don't have to care about such things. And maybe if the app is used in the closed community or internally, then we don't have to carry much about the accessibility. Yeah, and promised example. This is the button rendered in the React Native Web. So for the web developers, it's familiar. So we have the button with regular styles. There is a text inside. So it's semantic. We know how it works. The readers can read that. That is the button. Also, we can put some extra accessibility labels and so on. But still, this is what we expect from the web app, yeah? And take a look at the example from the Flutter. So mostly there are any known HTML element, and in the end the button is a canvas. So we don't even have possibility to define the text and read from the HTML what the text is inside. And also it's not really reliable, because sometimes the canvas, sometimes the text. It depends how the HTML renderer in the Flutter will work. And also if we use the canvas renderer, it will be almost everything in canvas. So yeah. Okay, so now take a look from a bit different perspective. This is the chart from the Stack Overflow. What shows us how many developers want to try or tried specific language or yeah, in the previous and the next year. So on the top of the list we have the JavaScript and HTML, and the Dart, what is in Flutter, is on the bottom of the list. So it's only the 6%. Maybe we shouldn't really care about that, but it shows us just some idea how hard it might be to build the team with, let's say, 50 developers with Flutter and how to scale in future. And yeah, definitely it's a bit easier in JavaScript and HTML, it's in terms of the Ionic. But on the other hand, Flutter is one of the most loved technology. So we can expect that in following years, the Flutter will become even more popular. So more people will learn Dart, more people will use Flutter because yeah, it's really, really nice framework. And yeah, we can expect that in future it will be much easier to find Flutter devs. Some interesting, maybe, links and why they are interesting. This is not like, from my perspective, what they present, but we can see the big companies behind the React Native, for example. So it's Shopify. They invest a lot of money, time to build the app also in the React Native. They created the flash list, what Alex presented. Also the React Native rendering engine, what is used also in Flutter. And what is the best thing for me, the Microsoft was developing the React Native macOS library to develop the apps for the macOS. And yeah, and Microsoft developers working on the macOS devices, yes. Yeah, but so I think it's kind of interesting from this perspective that this big companies interest in those technologies. As I said, also Flutter is backed by Google, so it's a big development company. And Microsoft also is really interested in Flutter because by default, Flutter delivers app to the Windows, for example. And yeah, and Microsoft from in some point of time started to using also the external technologies, what is really nice because they also develop a lot nice technologies, and now they also invest their time in another tech. So at the end, maybe quick exercise. And yeah, in this exercise, I will ask you to maybe try to define or maybe tell me what technology would you use in this application, what I will show you. So first, one app, number one is a mobile-first app with the same functionality on web. On web, we will also have the admin panel. It's a real-time messaging app with a lot of content. And it's only for logged-in users. So yeah, maybe some ideas. What would you use? Silence. Okay, so Flutter. Yeah, Flutter works really well here. So yeah, if I would have to choose what to use in this kind of app, I would say Flutter or React Native, yeah, because both of these technologies are really well performing. We can have both the web and mobile here. Also, maybe Flutter have one disadvantage, because if you want to have really big web app with a lot of features, with admin panel and so on, probably the missing libraries from the web technology to achieve the same feeling of the app on the web might be a bit missing, because we would have to implement that on our own in Flutter, because we don't have any web tech in Flutter at this moment, yeah. And also the HTML behaves differently, so even the select won't be the same as in the React Native app or React app, where we can use, for example, the React library for select element or something like that. But yeah, Flutter would be also might work really well here. So the next one is a small e-commerce with up to 100 products. It's partially SEO optimized because we need to have the list of the products what can be read by Google bots. And this is web and mobile. So yeah, what we can use here. Awkward silence. So I will go through the list. Let's first consider Flutter. So yeah, Flutter is already excluded from the list because we need the server-side rendering to have the SEO optimized part. We can use also React Native or Ionic in this context. What is for me, like, in terms of using the React Native, if it's a really simple application like small e-commerce, I think we can really easily use just write a web app, make it. We're already doing the responsive designs in the web, so we just can have the one app, wrap it in the capacitor, and yeah, and that's all. And we have already the mobile app. So, and also we can just add then the push notifications to that app, and that's the fully working mobile app for small e-commerce. And the last one, this is our internal app, and this is the mobile first with web in addition, and it works reserving the desks. So yeah, in this context, I think we can use all of the technologies, but as we can see on the screenshot, one of the part of the app is a map of the elements. So it would be nice to have really precise drawings and that. Also, there is a lot of animations, what shows us the numbers of reserved desks and so on. Yeah, so we decided to use that to write it in Flutter. But yeah, of course, other technologies might works also really well, but it just shows us that how we can approach the problems with what to choose in our project. So, quick summary. When to use React Native? I would say we should always think what we really need and on which factor we will base our decision. So I would say React Native is almost in every case really good because it's JavaScript based, it's React, it's really common technology in the world. Also, it's really well maintained library. We have the React Native Web in addition. There may be one disadvantage what I see here is that this is the external library. What is a difference from the Flutter when it is developed also by the Google and it's inside the Flutter. So that's might be some problem in the future. But yeah, I think React Native is really nice in many cases because we can develop it in very different approaches. We can make it even only the mobile app and part of this app put in the web app. We can use the web technologies, mobile technologies, easily split the components from the web to the mobile ones. And yeah, this is really nice. Flutter, I believe at this moment Flutter is for web is the maybe not the worst choice because it's not true, but it's the most limited one because we need to consider who will be using this app, how important is for us to have the regular web user experience in that app, how to achieve the level of the web apps, what is written in React, for example, and have it in the Flutter. So, but if it's quite simple app, or maybe we just also need some part of the mobile app in the web, and it's the mobile first, I think Flutter is really nice because it gives us, on the other hand, a lot of powers in the mobile app. And when to use Ionic, I would say if we have the web-first app and we are quite sure that we don't have many native features in the mobile app. By native features, I understand the Bluetooth connections, background processing, offline support, and things like that. I think the Ionic is really nice because we're just developing the web app and we can easily deliver into the mobile app without any really effort, and it's not time consuming. So yeah, thank you. That was all.